Welcome to our breakout session on increasing efficiencies. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Before we get started, we have such a fantastic group of sponsors who have really helped us bring Accelerate to life and have really given us the opportunity to bring all these sessions and this connectivity, even though it's virtual, together. And we're gonna, before we dig in and have Becky walk us through increasing efficiencies, we're gonna have a quick message from Matt Webb. Matt is the Director of Partnerships for epact, and he is going to give us a quick message about their team, their partnership with Daxco, and then we'll kick it off and turn it over to Becky. So Matt, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chrissy. It's great to be here. And good afternoon to everyone as well. I hope you've all been enjoying your Accelerate experience. Huge kudos to Christy and her team for putting this together. I do want to start by thanking the Daxco team for allowing epact to be a part of Accelerate. We are incredibly grateful for these experiences that still allow us to come together and share ideas, best practices, and frankly, it's nice to see other faces than just my coworkers. As we look ahead to this afternoon session, the focus will be on how you as an organization can create efficiencies for your staff in order to allow them to focus on what matters most, your members. Now, probably more than ever, members need to feel supported. They need to feel engaged. And for the past year, epact has had the great pleasure of working with the Daxco operations team to help with this goal of creating efficiencies through the use of our shared technologies. And for those of you who may not be familiar with epact, we are a secure health and safety network that's made up of community organizations and families. And it's designed to improve the collection and access to critical health and emergency information for both youth and adult programs. So with epact, organizations like YMCAs, JCCs are able to move away from traditional methods, such as the collection of health information on paper, or even in non-HIPAA compliant systems, and do so in a much more secure and efficient way. And part of this effort too also includes helping ensure that program staff are able to access all this critical information at all times, especially in moments of uncertainty. And where we've seen the biggest impact has been within youth programs. So programs such as preschool, before and after school, and also camp programs. And the way it works is families input their information once, and they're able to share it with you program after program without having to enter that information in every single time. And if that information ever changes, you're also notified as well. For staff, instead of having to carry that information around on paper or in binders, they're able to access that information either online through a desktop computer or through our mobile app. And the app also works without internet or data. So if it's a school site where there's poor cell phone reception or offsite for a field trip, you still have that assurance of being able to access that information. And all that data that's collected is all fully encrypted and then also compliant with HIPAA. Now, we've found ourselves here, obviously, in some fairly unprecedented times, and it's forced us to make changes and make changes in a relatively short period of time as well. And our team here at epact, actually this past fall, had surveyed YMCAs, JCCs, and other community recreation organizations. And from that, we had learned that 59% of organizations were considering or even just in the process of implementing paperless, contactless administrative processes to help with providing programming during the pandemic. And since then, we've seen you all make tremendous strides in these areas with increased online registrations, drive-through check-in procedures, QR codes, the list goes on. And the enhancements that we're making here at epact over these last few months, they don't just come from within, they come from you. And this past summer, actually, we launched our new ideas board that allows customers to recommend new feature enhancements or even vote on existing feature enhancements that were already suggested by your fellow programmers. So if you are curious to learn more about epact and how we've been supporting nonprofit organizations with our HIPAA compliant tools for health information collection or health screening, feel free to check us out online at epactnetwork.com, or you can access our sponsor page within the conference platform for product overviews and to also see if you're eligible for our community support program, which allows YMCAs and JCCs to apply for the free use of epact. So with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Daxco Operations Senior Product Manager, Becky Irby. Take it away, Becky.
Thank you so much, Matt and epact. I really appreciate that. Hey, everyone. I really appreciate you joining. I'm no John Acuff. I have not nearly spoken to as many people as John, but often draw this lovely right after lunch time slot. So I know everybody is going to be having a little case of the sleepies, and that's okay. But just to get us started off today, I would love for you all to use the chat feature for Zoom. I'll have a quick question, and you can just answer yes or no. And there's a right answer, but I'll let you decide what it is. So John Acuff spoke I don't know, not even 30 minutes ago. And then now I'm speaking in this breakout session. So I was thinking I should probably add co-led a session with John Acuff, and just wanted to know if you all agree, because I just think I should add that to my resume. Also, the Avett brothers led me in, so I think I'll also include that as well, since they're my favorite band. Okay, great. See, you all answered the right way. I absolutely adore John Acuff, and we graduated from the same college, so we're fellow alums from Samford University, not Stanford, which most people get confused. So today we're going to be talking about probably one of my favorite topics, specifically because efficiency matters a lot to me in my personal life. It matters a lot to me in my job, what I do every day, and most importantly, it matters to all of you. Efficiency, I looked up a couple of different definitions, and one of the best definitions that I found was efficiency is the ratio of useful work that's performed in a process compared to the total energy that's expended. So really, it's this idea of what we put in and what we get out. And I think for most of you, I think for all of us, one of the most frustrating things is when we put tons and tons of energy and work into something, and the results that we get, that value that it yields, is low. That is incredibly, it's the opposite of rewarding. When I first started working for Daxco years ago, I've been at Daxco now over 9 years, and have loved every minute of it. When I first started at Daxco, I realized probably within 2 or 3 months that you all do so much more than what your job title is. So whether you work at a YMCA, a JCC, or one of our community partners, you do so much more than your job title. And so I would frequently, I still do this today. If you've ever been on a research call with me, I will always ask, what is your title? But what all do you do? And those things are very different, as you all know, because you take on so much. And I initially thought of it like I do for most of us, that we're trying to keep all of these plates spinning. If you've ever seen one of those performers that's keeping all the plates spinning at the same time. But then as I got even more familiar with what you all do every day, it was really, really clear to me that it is actually far more like Bert from Mary Poppins, who John Acuff referenced. I did not know he was going to do that. But Chrissy, if you'll advance to the next slide, this image actually makes me think more about what your roles are like every day, day in and day out. And if you've seen Mary Poppins, and you likely have, it is not like spinning plates. The plates are all the same size. You're doing the same task over and over again. You're just trying to do a lot at once. That is not what you all do every day. What you all do is you are trying to do all of these different things, different goals, different tasks, all while being just one person. And I would say now more than ever, you are in this role, in this position, trying to keep this one man band going, because we know for a fact, back when we had our last General Assembly, which feels like it was just yesterday, but it's been a full year and a half. But at the last General Assembly, one of the things that we had researched prior to attending was that between 2009 and 2019, in that decade, we saw most of you have a reduction in overall team members by about 11%, just under 11%. So that was in 2019, prior to 2020 happening. And so many of you have gone through layoffs and furloughs. And I know that that has just been incredibly difficult and such a challenge. And we're seeing many of you bring back a lot of team members, which is exciting, but we know that you all are trying to do more with less. And that is not a theme that's going to go away. Similar to what John Acuff mentioned, there's not an end in sight. It's not like when this all ends, when we go back to normal, right? This is something that we're accepting, that we are probably going to need to do more with less. And the responsibility for a good chunk of that lies with your operational system, something that for DAXCO operations and the full DAXCO suite of products, we are constantly trying to think of is how do we make sure that our associations that have such valuable impact on the community, how do we make sure that they are not putting in all this effort to get a report, to execute a task, to send out a communication for this very small yielded value? How do we make sure that the value is in proportion to the effort that it requires? So we're going to be talking about some new tools. It was really difficult for me to narrow down what tools I wanted to focus on, but I really chose some things that are more recent. There will be a couple of things you did not know were coming today, so I always like a good surprise, not a bad surprise, but we'll have a few good surprises about things that will be available to you before the end of the year. And then we'll talk about some tools that you likely have heard us talking about already. You might already be using those as well, but want to talk about what I am seeing so many of you and your peers doing to provide efficiency with 4 main tools today. So let's go ahead and talk about those. So today we're going to be talking about document storage. We're going to be talking about scheduling in DAXCO operations. We're also going to talk about the new member online account and trial memberships. So those last two are very new. The very final one, only a few of you have been a part of that research that I can see that have joined the call today. So some of you know that I've been researching that with the team, but we're going to talk about how that could impact your organization and lead to some efficiencies going into 2021. So let's go ahead and talk about document storage. Document storage is a project that we released right at the beginning of the fall season, and we already have over 60 associations who are utilizing DAXCO document storage. DAXCO document storage, we know that there are some major pain points when it comes to the member experience and also the staff experience on collecting all of the paperwork that you all have and making sure that it's easily retrievable. I tell the story a lot. I think about it a lot with our agreements feature that we released years ago, but I've actually been on site when y'all are going through your annual audit and you have an auditor on site. And I don't know, you can tell me in the chat if this has ever happened to you. I don't think the experience I had was unique, but I was on site with an association and I was working on something totally different, but their auditor was on site as well. And I was in a back office working on creating a report at the time, and someone came in very flustered and started hunting through a series of 4 or 5 filing cabinets that had 4 drawers each, because the auditor had said, okay, I need you to go pull Christy Brown's membership join packet. It says that she joined in May of 2014, and I need you to pull that as part of the auditing process. And so now this team member was in the office digging through filing cabinets, trying to find that membership join packet. and wanting to find that and hoping that they did not have to drive offsite to find that. So there's just tons of documentation that all of you have to keep, and those documents are really important. They're valuable documents. But of course, the physical space costs money, and the efficiency of needing to store those documents can be a challenge. And so this project is one I've been passionate about really since that day. I think that was probably in 2014. I wanted to make sure that we were finding ways to be even more efficient over the years, and document storage is really the culmination of a lot of ideas and research with all of you. So let's talk a little bit about document storage. The first thing to know is that document storage in DAXCO operations, it's also in DAXCO accounting. In DAXCO operations, you are able to configure document storage based on what your staff needs are and what your member needs are. So for example, this is literally a backend setup page that we have for DAXCO operations. So for those of you that wish to use document storage, once you go live on document storage, this is what we would help you set up. And it allows you to name these documents, something that would be recognizable to your staff members or to members. And you're able to say what modules those documents affect, as well as whether or not those things are confidential. And we have an additional setting to auto archive documentation. So let's talk a little bit about each of those settings and why they matter. The first thing around module, we are going to go back, and I'm sorry, Chrissy, if you'll go back one slide on the module section, we are going to make sure to go through the list of modules with you to know which modules those documents affect. One of our plans for the future around document storage is to build better efficiency on the workflow. So for example, it's possible that perhaps I work in childcare and I really need to know exactly what documents concern me and pertain to my role at the YMCA or JCC. And so I'm pulling that documentation, and I don't want to see all of the other things. I probably also don't need to see all of the other things. So choosing modules, and you can choose multiple, allows us to curtail that experience to the type of documentation that a staff member might be interested in. Additionally, the confidential setting, we know there are many times that you have something, the great example is this bottom one here, financial assistance application. Many times you are collecting information that you don't plan to keep on file. It's something that you have to see, so you have to prove it and that it was a valid request maybe for financial assistance, but it's something that you don't want to keep and you don't want tons of staff members to have visibility into. And so we have this additional confidential setting that will allow you to choose which staff members have access to the document. And we also track on those confidential documents anyone that has had a chance to view the document. So a lot of security around that, which was something that was a clear need that you all communicated. Additionally, I mentioned an archive process. We can auto archive documents for you. So for example, let's say that you have a financial assistance application process and your goal is from the time that document is uploaded to approve or deny that request within 2 weeks. If you know that's the case, then you can set up auto archive and you don't have to do any manual action whatsoever. You can simply have someone upload that document, and 2 weeks later, we'll move it from the active list of documents to an archived list of documents that only those with the highest level of permissions have access to. So really trying to take some of the manual work out of the process so that there's some automation built into that, so your documents can live in the appropriate place. So you might be thinking, okay, once all of this is set up and we go live, what does this look like for our staff and what does it look like for members? So we'll first go to the next slide and talk about staff. So from the membership information page, just like where you would see scholarships set up in DAXCO operations, you would be able to select documents. By selecting this new documents area for all members, it's available for any membership, you will be able to see all of these documents. Now, of course, things are based in permissions. Some team members will only be able to see active documents and see this chart. They would not actually be able to load the document images. Some people have the ability to view documents, upload documents. They can even archive documents and delete them. So everything happens right there from the membership information page. Why this is great is back to that story I was telling earlier. If someone says we need Christy Brown's membership application, we can simply navigate to membership information, go to the document section, and look for that membership application or membership join packet. So these documents can go all the way up to 5 MB in size, which is a very large size. I use when I'm launching new associations on document storage, I use a camp packet that's 22 pages long. It's a PDF, 22 pages, very real example, and it does not even take up a fifth of the space that you're allowed per document. So these can be packets. This is not like every single page has to be scanned in separately. You can really attach a large file of a packet. The big piece of this that I think frees up the experience to be far more pleasant is specifically for your members. So of course we want it to be a good one for staff, but in this next slide, what we're going to look at is what it looks like for a member in their online account. So we'll advance to that. In this screen, you'll be able to see that for a member, when they log into their online account, they have the ability to upload documents on their own. So they can go in at a time that's convenient for them and upload these documents. And of course, convenience is incredibly important. That was one of our main goals with this, was how can we make this process convenient? I know for me, I think it's partly my personality type. Usually when I start work at the beginning of the day, I go pretty heads down, and I very rarely think about some of those tasks that I need to take care of, like maybe making my doctor's appointment, or calling to because someone has a request from me, or uploading documentation that I need to maybe for my son's school. And so very often when it's convenient for me is late at night after most everyone has gone to bed in the house and I have some quiet time, and that's when I want to do some of those to-do lists, my personal to-do list. And sometimes it's difficult if it's something that I cannot do through a self-service portal, then I'm very often going to delay that task yet another day and kind of kick the can down the road, which is very frustrating for me, but sometimes that's what I do. And so having a way to go in late at night and do this all on my own is just a dream for me. Anytime I can do some self-service. And I think that's a growing expectation for members and participants. So we added that, and convenience is awesome. There's another angle of this that was very important to the whole team as we took on this project, and that was privacy. So you all do such an amazing job at making sure that you're providing equity in everything that you offer. That's probably just the most precious thing that I love that you all do, and it's something that I feel very honored to be able to work with all of you because of how you do that. And it makes it difficult when someone needs to bring in sensitive documentation like a W-2 or a pay stub, or even just the basic financial assistance application that asks things about their household income. Some of that is very private. And even if they're not at the welcome desk, even if they're taken into an office where they're one-on-one with someone, it can be distracting to try to share some of that private information while people are walking by, or maybe they can hear noise from nearby offices. So this really offers them the ability to know that we're handling their documents with privacy and security, and that we are making sure to take good care of the information, so only the people who need to see it. And that helps provide that member experience that just feels more equitable, and that was very important to us in this project. The other piece of this that we'll go to next is specifically around permissions. So when we started this project, we actually only had 2 permissions. We had, under system options, you could either be a documents admin or you had the ability to view documents. So documents admin were for all those private documents that were marked confidential, and that was the highest level of permission. But if you had the ability to view documents, then you could see any non-confidential, non-archived document. However, very quickly, we got awesome feedback from all of our launching associations that said, hey, actually the way that we view security and privacy around some of this documentation is by the type of team someone is on. So for example, if someone's on our childcare team, we want them to be able to go in and see everything childcare related even if it does have some confidential settings, but we don't want for them to access anything around donors or membership join packets. That's not really something that we want them to have access to. I think even a greater example was we don't want someone that needs to have access to some of our membership documentation to be able to access childcare information. So we actually split out all of our permissions into view documents and upload documents by module. So you can see for membership, programs, fundraising, and childcare, you can split out the permissions by module, and then system options is where that document admin permission lives. And when we talk about the efficiency part, the next slide, we're going to talk about the event log. One of the things that we would love to build in the future, as I mentioned, is more of a workflow of, Christy just uploaded a document that we asked her to upload. We are going to see that that document came in. We know that Becky is a staff person who needs to view that. So Becky will then process that task. That's something that Becky needs to do. That will be amazing. We're really looking forward to learning so that we can add on some more workflow to document storage. But for now, what we've done is we've added 4 events so that you can pull any new document. You can go to the event log and search by document add new and see the full list of added documents. You can see anything that's been edited, archived, or deleted. And that list of add new, when you pull that in the event log, you can see the username listed as online to see any document that did not go through a staff person first, that it was actually uploaded by the member, in order to really make sure that is your to-do list and start to tick off each of those items to make sure you're doing a financial assistance approval or you're getting that join packet in. Maybe it's a questionnaire for childcare or for camp that you need to review to make sure they're placed in the right session. So all of this with document storage, the one exciting thing around this is we're currently, if you have already seen the pricing structure for document storage, we have a free tier. So every month, an association can upload up to 99 documents within that given month, and that's free. That's at no cost. So what we are currently working on that will be available to you before the end of the year, so keep your eyes peeled for an email about this, is the ability for all associations, even if you have not decided for sure you want to make that decision to add document storage to DAXCO operations, we're going to give everyone access to free 99 documents every single month. And then we'll stop immediately at that once you upload the 99th one of those. So we want to make sure that all associations have the ability to test drive this and to see what this looks like. If you do choose to add document storage, that's where we will add some custom names into this so you can build out a full process and remove some of that face-to-face interaction that's currently required around documents. Okay, the next topic that we want to talk about, sorry, there's a question, when will the 99 per month end? So the 99, so it is full calendar month. So on the last day of the month, that's what we'll count it, starting at the very beginning to the very end of the month. And I think maybe your question is, how long are we going to offer that 99 per month, even before you've added on document storage? We plan to make that something that's permanently available for all associations. So you would be able to access and upload 99 documents a month. And then if you decide, hey, we've really built out our process, we've found some ways to add efficiency, then you can exceed 99 per month. You just need to reach out to your account executive and we can get that launched for you. Okay, so let's talk about scheduling. Scheduling is, it's funny because when I think about efficiency, I actually in my mind almost picture a calendar in my head, and that's what scheduling is. I really love my calendar. I kind of live and die by the calendar, making sure that I have things scheduled. So when we talk about scheduling in DAXCO, there are several different topics of scheduling. And so let's go through what those are. So in this list, you're going to see at the top, these are things that we already offer. And at the bottom, these are things that are already in research or in development with our team. So the top items, you can now schedule membership orientations. If you have DAXCO scheduling, then that additional feature, it's really a full module in DAX Operations, will give you access to all of these first three things. So those are not separate add-ons. The scheduling piece, the full scheduling component, is what you would add on to DAX Operations to get these items. Scheduling of orientations. So of course, when someone joins, we want to make sure that we're getting that new member orientation. So we'll talk a little more about that in a moment. Also, schedule a visit. This is a fun one because back in February, this was not on our radar at all. This was not something that we had researched with any of you. It wasn't something flagged as a need. And then, of course, the shutdown occurred, and then we had limited capacity and social distancing. And overnight, we really needed the need to schedule a visit. So schedule a visit is actually still in beta access for all associations. That meaning that all associations currently have access to that in a trial version that we are wanting to make sure we carry through. We know January is going to be a busy season, but we are really close to wrapping up the beta trial of Schedule a Visit. And then we also have program packages. Program packages is really kind of that crown jewel of what we are trying to accomplish with scheduling. So that's taking things like personal training, private swim, and making sure that all of that can be scheduled either with staff members or with members themselves, allowing them to really be in their driver's seat and choose their own schedule. Some things that we're looking at for the future are multi-book packages. So that would be things like a semi-private lessons, and maybe Christy and I both purchase a package of semi-private lessons, and we both want to book with Saranda. She's going to be our personal trainer. So the two of us want to book Saranda at the exact same time in a semi-private session. So making sure that, that we can multi-book, as well as recurring packages. This one is growing in need, and our research has really picked up around this. So this would be, for example, I have a membership every month that's $82. My recurring membership is $82, maybe for a family membership, but I pay an additional $59 a month every month on the first, just like I do for my $82. I pay for that all in one payment, and that $59 gives me access to personal training. For example, for that full month. It could be to other things as well, like private swim or even massage or physical therapy. All of those things could be added on. And then, of course, room reservation. So that racquetball court, making sure that it can be booked and that you have some oversight into when an opening might be available if someone reaches out. So all of those things are in research now. So let's go ahead and talk about orientation, schedule a visit, and program packages. So when someone joins, and orientations are incredibly important, I think, because as we talked about earlier, really yesterday, all day yesterday and today, so many people are just not aware of the full mission of what you all do at your organizations day in and day out, whether you're a community organization, a JCC, a YMCA. I think that it will make such a difference. It has made such a difference in my life to know where every single dollar is, what those dollars that we might give, whether it's through a membership or through donations or both, we'll know that those dollars are powering this mission that we want to be a part of, that bonds us with the organization overall, bonds us with this movement, this thing bigger than ourselves. So we want to make sure when someone joins, whether it's online or in-house, that we are immediately, as a part of that join process, that we are setting up that new member orientation. Yes, of course, an orientation includes things like, here's how you make sure that if you fall on the treadmill, it turns off. I need that one. But also, here's what we do. Here's how you're giving back. This is why it matters. And really making sure someone understands from the very beginning of their membership with you why they want to continue to be a part of it. So schedule orientations will appear during that join process, and then you will be able to see a full schedule of this as well. We did have a couple of questions. Scheduling is in addition to DAX Operations. So you would have your DAX Operations subscription, and then you would add on DAX scheduling. We do have schedule a visit in beta access. So I did see that question come across. I wanted to make sure to answer that. Okay, so the next item that we'll talk about is schedule a visit. So this is the one that you do have access to. And schedule a visit is to make sure that If a member wants to know for sure based on limited capacity and also their own choices around social distancing, if they want to know that they have really a guaranteed spot for maybe a racquetball court or the wellness floor, the cardio room, this is a way to make sure that staff know what the limits are and also that members know when availability might exist. This includes things also like child watch, so allowing an entire family to book at the same time. So this is fully mobile optimized. It's something that we want to make sure that members have a really, really clean, easy experience. But then also this creates a reservation system so that when someone comes to check in at the Welcome Center, you already know which spot they're going to take up. It's one thing to say our building is currently only at 50% capacity to maintain whatever guidelines there are, but if all 50% of the people that show up for that building all go to the cardio room, then clearly you are going to struggle with those guidelines. So it's making sure that we know where everyone's expected to be to help all of you maintain some of these really strict guidelines that might exist for you. The next one is scheduling program packages. And this is the one I think that we're receiving the most questions around. Scheduling program packages allows you to have all of your instructors that are already attached to those program packages that most of you are selling. I think when I looked the other day, there are about 370 associations already using program packages. It's making sure to do that last piece. It's the last important part, which is I want to make sure that I'm able to find an instructor that has a time that's available for me, that's convenient for me when I like to work out. So some people are morning people. They are up at 5 a.m. That is not me. It will never be me. I prefer that after work. I had a lot of, Christy's with me, had a lot of, lot going on today at work, and I just want to go zone out for a bit and get in a good workout. After work would always be my preference. And so in the purchase process of a program package, they are actually able to go ahead and choose the instructor and those available session times that work best for them on their days. Now, they don't have to book anything, but if they want to, they can go ahead and get that done on their schedule. Now, hear me out here. This is where I want you to know, I think most of you, I've talked to so many of you on the call. I think I absolutely adore what you all do. And I know that it's really difficult. There's a lot to do. And so as I say this, just know I have it with the absolute best of intentions. I've talked to so many associations that have said, Becky, there is no way we can let members book their own personal training. Like right now, all the personal trainers kind of are doing this through text message, and they're doing this on like a paper calendar or a personal calendar. And this just seems like such a big leap for us. I hear you. That's totally fine. In fact, we've built this in such a way that you can baby step your way to this eventually. I do think this should be the goal. And the reason I think this should be a goal, and this is where I'm saying I really do have the best of intentions, as we look at what so many what we would consider competitors would be to our partners, they are doing this. They are allowing the member to be in the driver's seat. And that is what so many people have come to expect. And so I think to really move the needle and set you up for the best chance to compete in this area is to have this be the goal. However, you can baby step your way up, and there is a way to move maybe away from all the paper calendars and just have staff booking. So when someone signs up for a program package, the staff can handle all of the booking, and it doesn't have to show online to the member just yet. So we want to make sure, just to encourage you in that area. I totally understand that it is a big leap for many of you, but we want to help you get there. Okay, so that is a lot around scheduling. We have an entire webinar that we hosted around scheduling of program packages, and that is available. So we'll make sure that you have a link to that if you want to go view it. So please, if there are additional questions around any of these topics, our team would be more than happy to help. These are things that we're super excited about. So just for the sake of time, we are going to move on and talk about the new member online account. So the new member online account, oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Christy. I missed this one piece that's really important. With program packages, so you don't even have to have DAXCO scheduling, but with program packages, we offer a tool called the Instructor Redemption Tool. And right now we have over 200 associations that are using that. But this tool is included with DAXCO operations, and it allows for your users to redeem on the floor all of these sessions. So it's a tool really for those maybe personal trainers or swim coaches to make sure that they can redeem sessions to keep track of what's been delivered if you are selling program packages. The added bonus is if you do have DAXCO scheduling, that additional tool is going to allow you to see all of those appointment times and redeem specific sessions. And we're also looking at how people can do more on the floor or quick scheduling without having to maybe go into the web view. We know so many people, of course, are walking around with a phone in their hand, which is far more accessible. Okay, so now I jumped the gun. We'll talk about the member online account. This is available to all of you now on the training site. Our user guide, that would be from the 18th, I believe. So if you go to the help blog, the product blog, you'll be able to see the user guide from November 18th. This was made available to all associations. And we have instructions there on how you can use in the DAXCO operations training site, how you can simulate the member experience. And that is something I highly encourage associations to do, just to make sure you know exactly what your members experience when they go online. The member online account is already available in the training site, and we will be rolling it out next week. So it'll probably be in the latter half of next week. We'll be rolling it out to the live site so that your members have this new experience specifically before you go into January. So we have some efficiencies that we find to be very important, whether someone's a new join in January or someone is an existing member, giving them a better experience. So let's talk about what that looks like. We are going to use my favorite person, Michael Scott, for our member online portal. He's our example. This is the new design and layout. So we have specifically taken on this project for reasons that include a better experience and overall design, and specifically a mobile design. So I'll show that to you in a moment. And then also some things that you all have asked us for multiple times. You've said, hey, this is really important. This is something that's on my staff right now, and it's causing such a lack of efficiency because similar to something like scheduling where, gosh, I don't know, was Christy supposed to come at 2 or was she supposed to come at 3? We need to get someone to call her. All of that manual work that's included with something like scheduling. For the member online account, there are other things that we're going to look at that currently a member has to contact staff to do that we've moved into this online portal. So the first thing is, let's take a look at the mobile view. We know that over 50% of people who access this member online account are doing so on mobile devices. And so these are side-by-side screenshots of just what happens in that scroll experience where you're scrolling through your online account as a member. But this is built to be mobile first, meaning that we built this. We love that web design as well, but we built it because we felt like we could build the best mobile first design so that any experience that your members have from their mobile device feels just very natural. No sizing issues, no issues of having to kind of pinch and pull or zoom in. So this mobile design was very important to us. Let's talk about some of the specifics that we're providing. So this first one, I've received this request for a very long time. The upper right-hand image here at the top right of the screen is what it looks like to access your facility usage. So if you're a member and you need to access your facility usage within a date range, you can select for a specific member or all members. You can choose a date range, and then you can export it to a PDF. And the PDF looks like this bottom left-hand image here. So this is showing you what it would be for multiple members. It's going to show the date and times, as well as the branch, total number of days visited, as well as total number of visits. So they'll be able to pull that on their own in a branded PDF so that it's not an Excel spreadsheet that someone could easily change or alter. I know that's been a concern for insurance companies that are receiving that. So I see a yay. I'm so glad, Stacy. This is one I know I've heard from many of you, and this is something that it's high time for us to make sure that this is available so that your staff members are not expected to do this and a member can do this themselves. The next item that we'll talk about, it's also in the realm of reporting, and that's payment history. So previously, let's say that someone for their insurance company at the end of the year needed to pull all of their membership related payments, or needed to go back to pull 3 or 4 months worth of payments, or maybe even a full year's worth of payments. They would have to go click on each of those print buttons on the right hand side of the screen to pull individual receipts. Now we have the ability to select the date range, which can be custom. So it can be 30, 60, 90, you can do a custom date range, and then export to PDF. So this report, now it's a busy report, so prepare your eyes, but on this next slide, we wanted to include anything and everything that we felt like people would need. And it's basically the receipt, but put into this one report. So you have the ability to see for payment history, you can see the date that was paid, which member it was for, what the item description was, the fee amount, and the amount paid. So you'll be able to see that throughout for that full date range. We did get a great question around, would there be a way for a corporate partner to see visits? Yes, we actually have built a full corporate portal. So those corporate partners have a way to access their corporate portal. It looks different than the member portal. It's really built specifically for those corporate partners, and they can see people's facility usage out there. They can see how much they owe. They can see enrollment there, and as well as their billing methods, and they can make payments through that payment portal. So if you want to just reach out to support@daxco.com, we can send you along documentation on that corporate portal. So payment history, again, this is just something, one additional thing that your team would not have to pull to send to a member. This is something that we would make sure is available in their online portal. And then this next one, you're going to have mixed feelings, so just hang with me. Not every association is going to jump feet first into this. So this is a new way through the online portal. Your association gets to choose if you allow it or not, and it is a way to request a holder termination. This is not a way for members themselves to go ahead and terminate their account or put their account on hold, but they can request it. So the way that this is built is you have ability for at the branch level to set up which users should get an email when a holder termination is requested. And then these requests from the online account will be sent in. And again, from online settings, you can decide whether or not your members are even able to see this. However, we are just finding more and more that as we talk to you, as we look at your websites, we do that a lot, by the way. I visit your website all the time. We are seeing more and more web forms where you're already building this request somewhere. What we would like to do is to essentially have the base of the holder termination requested from the member, so that if you as staff decide to say, yes, I'm going to go ahead and move forward to process this holder termination, we're saving some of those settings to save you some time, and also making sure that you aren't having to manage multiple tools. So if you're using like a Google form, for example, you have to go over there and kind of cross-reference with Daxco operations instead of this being more of a fluid process. Let's see, we had a couple of questions. It's a great question around, we had someone mention we don't allow holds, so we just have termination options. I'll have to follow up on that. There might be a way that, that we could make that more accessible. So once the hold can be done, there's a complete page on the new hold and termination process. We've actually received several requests to make that something that could be emailed, so it's something that we're researching now. So it's great to hear that as well. And then let's see, we had, how will that make it easy? Yes, so Jason, that's a great question. The reason that I believe this makes it far easier is that they've already selected why they want to hold. They're telling us about that request. And when you submit that, all of that will be saved and take you directly to, so the staff member will get an email, and in an email, when you go to process that hold or termination that's requested, it'll drop you straight into that process with the ability to save the settings that they've selected. Now, of course, you can edit those if you choose to, but you'll be able to do that as well. And yes, this does have event logging around this as well. So great question around the email. I will follow up on that to see, I know we've been researching to see if that's possible. So great to know that that's a request. Okay, so the member online account, this will be available again at the latter part of next week in our big final major release, at least of the year. So The next thing we'll talk about it as we wrap up is around trial memberships. So this is something that, again, will be released before the end of the year, but it's something that we haven't talked about a ton. And this is not meant to be the full built out trial memberships of the future. Trial memberships is really, this is something that we wanted to start small and learn so that we can grow this. Most of the time when our associations think of a trial membership, in the past, we've thought of guest passes. So someone asks for guest passes, or maybe they're given 3 guest passes. But one of the trends here that we're seeing is definitely moving in the direction of a trial membership, so that someone can go online to your website, they can sign up for a trial membership, and for 7 days or 14 days, they can exist just like any other member in the facility. However, we want to make sure it doesn't impact your retention numbers. So they're not going to be a member for 13 months. So we don't want to maybe look at that 13-month retention, at least as a trial member. Our hope is they come in, they experience what it's like to be a member for 7 or 14 days, and then they commit to the full join process. So let's take a look at the setup of this. We're first going to look at the Manage Branches page. So if you go in DAX Operations, the System Options, you edit a branch, you would be dropped into this page. It's probably familiar to many of you. You'll notice that under Trial Memberships at the bottom, I've highlighted this. It will be defaulted to no for all branches, but you can go into a branch and select to toggle Trial Memberships to yes, and then you can enter in the number of days that the trial membership will last. That way, DAX Operations knows from whatever day they join this trial membership, we know what day that ends, and we can communicate that throughout the process. At that time, once you save those changes and refresh the page, you'll be given this unique URL. Now, I'm just using a test account today. My friends at YMCA of Austin, but it's just a test account that we're using. So that URL that's listed there, they would be able to go directly to that URL. You can embed it on your website. You could put a landing page that says, sign up for a trial membership, or you can even put a button that says trial memberships, so that when someone accesses that, it drops them right into the process. The process is very simple, so we'll take a look at that as well. So this first page, it's going to look very similar to a join process, but it's going to specifically say at the top, sign up for your trial memberships, and we've limited as many of these fields as we can. So we've tried to really pare down anything that could go, so that if they are using something like Google Chrome, it's going to autofill the majority of this, and they only have to choose a few selections, because a trial membership should be something that is low barrier, something very easy to sign up for. So here, this trial membership, they can fill out this basic form. The great news is it's really creating a non-member membership account, so that you have all of their information on file. And when they want to join, it's very easy to transfer them over to a full-fledged membership. So here they fill out this account, they can select next, and that's all that's required. So after that, they'll see this success page. And the success page that appears here will just say welcome. It'll give them a trial membership. It'll give them a temporary barcode as well, so they can come into the facility. Of course, they won't have a key tag, a barcode. You can either reissue that or let them show you the email and put in the number associated with them in order to check them in. They will be allowed to check in. So if you are using rapid check-in, then you can enter this barcode number and it will check them into that page just as if they're a member. However, they are actually an inactive membership, so that it doesn't impact your retention numbers. And then, of course, this will send them an email. So I do have a sample email that I received going through this process. It'll send them an email simply so that they know that their trial membership was successful. They know how many days that lasts, and they can see what their temporary barcode is as well. This is to make sure that those of you that are going into a very busy beginning of 2021, that you have a way outside of guest passes, which can be very hard to manage. I know some people use notes, some people use alerts, some people use like a spreadsheet to keep up with who all has had a guest pass. This is going to allow one trial membership within a calendar year, and it is going to capture all of the information that you need so that you can set up an initiative. We have reporting available as well. You can go to that report and pull the full list of trial members and run initiatives based off of that list, to reach out to them, to make sure that you are handling those trial memberships uniquely because you want them to feel welcome and to complete that join process. Facility access is still it's going to allow them to check in, and then it will show you when you check in, it'll show you how many days are remaining for that person. So on rapid check-in, it'll just say 6 days remaining for that person, and then it will automatically end their facility access once the trial membership is done. So there's no manual process to remove it. So this is a great way to remove some of that that overhead. I know trial memberships is a newer concept many of you are moving toward, and some of you might not be ready yet, and that's okay. But this is something that will be fully available to you to test drive on the training site. And if you're ready, it'll be there on the live side as well if you want to start off 2021 with a new trial membership process. As back to what I was saying earlier, best of intentions, as I look at what so many competitors are doing in this space, it is absolutely allowing a quick trial membership that can be created that's a very low barrier. And so we want to make sure as people are looking at their 2021 personal goals and maybe looking to get involved, that you all have a very similar and comparable experience, so they can have the chance to find the true value of what it means to exist as a member of one of your organizations. We think that's the right decision, so we want to provide these tools to set you up best. As we start to review and research your feedback around this, we want to build this out more. So this is our first. These are really it's the base layer for us to understand what you all need around this and to see what the experience is like, so that we can fine tune it and really build it out more for a really awesome trial membership experience. Okay, so that takes us into the home stretch here. Thank you all so much for being so engaged. I'm going to look back through some of these questions. I'm not sure, Christy, do you have any that you saw you want to throw my way first?
Yes. So we got a message earlier from Angie about the new membership online portal, and if you're doing, if you have any resources or anyone else that you've worked with during the research phase where they're going to do some sort of like education campaign for their members.
Oh, great question. So yes, many of you have maybe like a training document on your website of how someone can access their online account, how they can, what actions they can take out there. So how they can maybe change their billing method, or they could edit their information or add additional members. So we do have, the great thing about the feedback that we've gotten so far is that with our change for online login, which admittedly used to be very confusing. So I'm saying that it used to be very confusing. We improved that earlier this year, that with our new online login process, as well as this new design, that they actually feel that's maybe not as necessary as it was before. However, when we include screenshots in our documentation, we tried to do that in such a way that if you wanted to take any of those screenshots we've already done, or if you want to pull the experience directly from like one of your staff members, go through that example through that member experience on the training site, you can record some very short tutorial videos. Definitely, if anyone has already provided a document like that for the new experience and you want to share that, you can always reach out. That's something that we can provide through our help center. And then you can definitely let anyone know here if you want to connect around that to try to get the new member online account, like a quick tutorial together.
Perfect. We have a question of when the trial membership will be available.
Yes, so all of that is included in our final major release, which will be probably in the latter part of next week. So keep your eyes peeled for an email from us, but it'll probably be next Wednesday or Thursday. So we'll send an email out the day before, and it will be available again when that is released. It is not enabled anywhere. So it's something that you will go in and manually decide. So as soon as we send out that email to let you know when it will be released, on that day, you can go into the training site first and test drive that if you want before enabling it anywhere on your live site.